All right, welcome to Two Dads, Six Daughters, our weekly show where two fathers with three daughters each talk about their daughters and talk about pop culture and how it relates and everything like that. Marc Clarke, of course, with me as always. What's going on, man?
Hey, brother, how are you, Tony?
I'm good, man. My oldest daughter AJ had her second son.
I saw Olivia posted on Facebook.
Yeah,
That's,
Kingston checked in at 6 pounds 13 ounces, man.
okay, all right,
You know,
not huge, but not
yeah,
puny, not
no,
puny.
he's got some big hands though.
Well, you know what that
Yay,
means.
yay. He
I
had to
can,
have he got a circumcision yesterday, so I figured with his hands being that big, he had a little, but he was all right. He's all right. He's all right. Just take a little off the top. It's all good.
the doctor was tired when he got done. Man, I'm wore out.
Yeah, they home now though, so it's all good, man. Healthy, and I'm happy. She's happy. Everybody's happy. So
That's your second grandbaby.
second grandbaby, second grandson.
Go ahead,
So
go ahead.
yeah.
The
So I had
testosterone.
all daughters. Now I got all grandsons now.
I have a feeling that's gonna happen with me too.
Yeah, well, hopefully it won't happen for a very long time. So let's say congratulations to Cory Booker, who won his Senate seat in
Go
New
ahead.
Jersey. So that special election they had, so he won. So he'll be, I guess, leaving the mayor's gig and going for the Senate gig. Onward and upward.
Do you think he has his eye on the presidency one day?
Oh yeah. He
Hmm.
should. He
Yeah,
should. I mean, I think he would do some great things, man. I think the second black president is going to have it a little easier than the first one.
yeah, yeah.
You know, so because President Obama, man, it's all personal. I can't wait for him for his term to end. Not because I don't want him to be president anymore, because then I want him to speak out and tell me the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that he's been lying, but he's been holding back because he's the president. Well, now he ain't
Yeah.
gonna be the president no more. So let me hear him talk about their mama. You know what I'm saying?
But they never really do though. They
No, they
never
don't. You're right. You're right.
because they dog poor. I think who had the roughest time was probably Carter. They didn't help
Oh
Carter at
man,
all, man.
no, they just left him on the bank, man,
They didn't help, and
just skinned and gutted.
I think he had a big heart. I think he did a lot of good things, but I think they just refused to let him just get.
Yeah, well, you didn't get them hostages home from Iran.
No, and they characterized him as an idiot. His
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
his
yeah.
brother.
Hmm.
He was actually one of the smarter presidents. He's a physicist
Yeah,
and a nuclear. He's
yeah,
a submarine guy. It's like,
yeah. By trade, he's a brilliant man.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But then his brother
history
was
won't look
Billy.
at him like that. Billy moved him down in the rankings, though. He pulled him back, man. Pulled him down.
Yeah.
Ah, it's terrible, man. So check this out, man. I was looking at this study. Now it's from 1999. Vanderbilt University followed 173 girls. Now we have daughters. Two
Yes.
guys, two dads, six daughters. They followed 173 girls and their families from the time the girls were in pre-kindergarten until they were in the seventh grade, and found out that girls who enter puberty later generally had fathers who were active participants in caregiving, had fathers who were supportive to the girls' mothers, and had positive relationships with their mothers. It was the father's involvement rather than the mother's that was principal factors in the age of development.
Interesting. What was it? What was considered early?
The study, it doesn't say right here what they considered early, but I found that very interesting, that if a girl has her father in her life heavily involved, then she won't go through puberty as early as someone who doesn't.
I can.
Does that
Yeah,
mean because a girl doesn't have a father that maybe she has to grow up a little sooner, a little quicker, so she develops faster?
probably so. I think there's definitely a now. I don't know about that. I think the study's interesting, and for me, I guess a living experiment. I think my daughters came on probably a little younger, or right around normal, or slightly younger.
Yeah.
But I will say that I think what happens in environment, I think we both are kind of similar, because you mentioned Olivia not necessarily being obsessed with boys or whatever.
Hmm.
I think what happens is when you have both parents in the household, and you kind of have a relationship with your kids that is protective. I think they can kind of maintain their little girl a little bit longer.
Right.
A
Right.
little their innocence. They're kind of like not having to face the real world. I think also, again, we're protective of them. So, like my daughter, though my oldest Sydney is very developed for a 12-year-old. She really hasn't been faced with having to, have guys holler at her and stuff like that, like she would be probably if she was in a situation where she didn't have me around, or was exposed to that. So I think maybe that happens. I mean, Skylar, my middle child, she's very little girlish. She's very still much a little girl in her,
Right.
the way she looks at life. So I can see that. I can see that.
Well, researchers from the University of California, Berkeley, found that girls who live in homes without a biological father physically mature sooner than those who live with their biological father. So that plays into what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Their relationships with their fathers can literally prevent them from getting pregnant.
Yeah, I can see that.
The paper suggests that this may be because unrelated men in the home give off pheromones that set off the girl's biological clocks.
Yep, setting
it off.
And I think, it's interesting, Tony, like being a man in your house, you don't, you don't have a lot of men in your house. I think, right? I mean, even friends or whatever, they bop in. But then I think when your girls get to be a certain age, it's just, a part of it. You just don't really have that. And vice versa. I was watching a show the other day. Oh, I was watching your show, Blacklist. Mm-hmm. And the scene where, the husband basically needed to be cared for, and one of her friends took him to the doctor or whatever.
Right.
And she picked him up. He's in a wheelchair. She picked him up and took him, pushed him down the street or whatever. And I was thinking, I just had a thought that, we don't really have a whole bunch of women. Allison don't have a lot of women up in her house like that. Like your friends taking care of your husband. It's kind of like
there'll be none of that.
It's not like a hard fast rule. It just, Allison has a standard joke that's too crude for me to say, but.
Okay.
In regard to women being around or something, and I'll be like, oh, she's great. She's great, but she's got a, doesn't she? And she does that. She does. Yeah.
Is that right? Well, Allison kissed her mama with that mouth, man. Wait a minute. Well, what was it? Wait a minute over here. Hold on a second now. So the government shutdown is over.
I feel played by this whole thing, man. I was sitting at McDonald's just like having a coffee, like, okay, there's 5 hours left. They're gonna put it to a vote. And then within, there'll be an hour left, and then it's like these guys. I'm so sick of the dog and pony show. I just posted it on my Facebook page that these politicians play, and that we allow them to play. Mm-hmm. I'm sick of it, man. Where was you didn't really see people outraged. You didn't see, then Cruz, pushing his brand.
Yeah.
But to hear his blabber for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
After he lost, and we're just talking. Just talk booty chatter.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's trying to, put his iron in the fire.
Right.
And
trying to set himself up.
Millions of Americans. Well, no, millions of Americans. A bunch of Tea Partiers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really all it was. And I think as much as they want people to get involved in politics and care and vote and things like that, but on the other side, you turn everybody off with this kind of behavior.
And the Obamacare thing, hadn't even kicked in yet. That's the part that his dramatic people getting letters and say it ain't kicked in yet.
It ain't kicked in yet.
It's a 2014, right?
Yeah, I think now you're supposed to start signing up for it. I think, but
I asked my mother. I did say, "Hey, Mom, are you good?" She said, "I'm good, but I'm concerned about my benefits." That was my mother. Mother impression.
What did she say, man?
I'm concerned about my benefits. And no, she does not sound like that.
No, she doesn't. Oh man! So one of the big stories, is Adrian Peterson.
Ooh, I heard you talk. You know what? I had a chance to listen to the show, you guys yesterday.
Yeah,
I was on the road. And I heard you guys talking about this. But you guys have a very good show, man. You guys have a really good show, man.
Thank you, man.
I was proud and envious because I thought we had great chemistry. I think you and Tammy, man, you guys are right there, man. If not,
you're
right there. If not, that the male female thing. If not above,
yeah. Well,
go ahead. How many years has it been with Tammy?
About 7, I think, something like that.
You edged me out. She done edged me out, man.
She edged you out, man.
Damn. I remember when I saw Tammy come through the doors at the broadcasting school. Now she's rocking in St. Louis. So
Yes, she is. Yeah,
so
yeah.
the show sounds good. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you, man. Well, but this is Adrian Peterson, babies, babies, babies.
Uh,
Just first of all, he loses his son to a monster named Joseph Patterson, who's being held on $750,000 cash only bond for killing a 2-year-old. And now this is not the first time he's brought harm to a child. I mean, he hasn't killed a child before that I know of, but he was in trouble for harming a child before in a prior relationship. And this is, it's sad in a way. It's sad on many levels because Adrian Peterson just found out that he had this child. The mother of the child had a casual relationship with AP when she lived in Minneapolis. She since moved to South Dakota. She got pregnant but wasn't sure about the identity of the father until just recently a paternity test revealed that the dad was Adrian Peterson. It's being said that Adrian Peterson isn't identified as the father on the birth certificate of the child, who goes by his mother's last name. Before the paternity test, the mother knew the father could have been one of two guys. Adrian was aware he was the father of the child before the tragic incident. Previous reports have indicated that Adrian has only 2 children, Adrian Jr. and a daughter named Adasia. But as we found out, I think he's up to somewhere between 5 and 7 kids that he actually has now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
does that change? Does that change the dynamic of his? I mean, does he have a stellar image or something? Or
no. I mean, I think I think the what happens when you're a strong Christian,
yeah,
and you tout it, then I think people kind of will judge you a bit. But he still has a positive image because I think the way this was even handled was all positive as far as he found out about it and wanted to be in the kid's life.
Should he have played Sunday though?
I didn't have a problem with that because his story, he mentioned that it's, when his brother got killed, he played the next day. He's had tragedy. I mean, man, he's just like, man, anytime you can roll out like 3 or 4 tragedies,
yeah,
you're like, damn. I mean, his brother got killed and he played the next day. And then I think another family member died and he played the next day.
Right.
So he was just saying it's his way of working through the process. And, now the social media needs to back off a little bit, and some legitimate newspapers, because, they had the graphic with him kissing a little boy with little angel wings. Well, actually, that's Adrian Jr., who is alive.
Yeah, that's
his other son. He never had that kind of relationship with.
Right.
So it's almost like people comment, "Oh, Jesus has him now." Well, yes, Jesus does have one of the babies, but not that baby.
Not that baby.
And so it's just a lot, But again, we understand how that happens. Just kind of.
He actually, I think last weekend asked people to stop tweeting pictures of his child.
Yeah.
He didn't necessarily say why, but he asked people to stop, and I guess that was the reason why, because that wasn't the child everybody was praying for.
Well, that's the thing about social media on a lot of levels. I do have a problem with mainstream media. Even now, will quote a star from their Twitter account.
Yeah. Which
that was not how it was meant to be ever.
No.
And so they'll say, Tony Scott had this to say. Then it'll be like, well, he didn't really say that. He said that on Twitter, along with a graphic picture of something.
Yeah.
And I think in a tragedy, even with the questioning, Tony. I know you saw that after. So he's still taking questions, and then the sports guys, just shut up, okay?
Yeah,
just shut up. They're
saying that he's a bad guy, he's a bad man,
or asking. How they got you at a press conference to ask questions, but they don't really know what to ask, so they just keep. So Adrian, do you think this is going to affect how you're going to run the ball? Okay, Adrian, do you think your grip of the ball will be looser?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just like, dude, just let him. Thank you. Let him go. Let him go.
Are you gonna wear your cup tighter because of this incident? It's just it's crazy.
You're trying to blend the sports question in.
Then comes this other man named Bobby Ruffin, who says that the little boy who died was his son. He says Adrian was the biological father, but I raised this boy. He has my name. Tyrese Robert Ruffin is the boy's name. And Adrian Peterson, they need to stop with all that mess because I'm sick of it and all that. And I got to thinking, well, you know what? I'm going to give you a pass.
You gave him one. I heard you say that.
I'm going to give you a pass, but don't say no more, man. Don't say no more. You're a grieving father. I get that. You were there. You raised the child. More than likely, your name's on the birth certificate because Adrian Peterson's name apparently is not. And I get all that. And you're hurt too because you feel left out. But be gracious. You've had your time. You vented. You're allowed to vent. Don't say no more.
Yeah, you get the feeling you just have the image of God even saying that, like,
Yeah.
all right,
All
all
right.
right, all right, all right, all right, son, all
Simmer
right,
down, my son.
all right.
That's
enough.
crazy, man. Hey, have you watched this Preachers of L.A. show?
I did catch that. Yeah, I caught it last
What'd
week.
you think?
Whew, man,
Because
I tell
T.D.
you.
Jakes calls it junk. Then Fred Hammond says, "Now wait a minute." He says, "Wait a minute," because the
What
same
up now?
people,
What up now?
the same people who are condemning Preachers of L.A. are the same people who watch Scandal, which to me that's two completely different things. Because Scandal is pure fiction. The real Preachers of L.A. or whatever it's called, Preachers of L.A. I mean, this is based on reality, right?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, I'm not as outraged. You know, my father-in-law is a minister, and when we talk about, we had the conversation about prosperity, prosperity and that kind of thing, and one of the ministers did say something to the effect about people do get nervous about money and God and that whole they think having money is, a sin and things like that. And I think what is kind of exposed is kind of which T.D. Jakes actually said in defense of himself. He basically said, that's garbage, but what we're doing is not.
Right.
Which is kind of like, well, because his defense was, I had money when I came to the ministry. And, T.D. Jakes did come from a family that was an entrepreneurial family. So he headed into, the ministry with an entrepreneurial way of thinking. And in doing that, he's probably absolutely right. The image is that the congregation gave me all this stuff, but they really didn't. We use this money to fund the community and all the 300 plus people who work for the church. Mm-hmm. Now, my cars and my suits and all this kind of stuff is my business. I've got 2 movies, I've got books, I've got and so
he's doing what Joel Osteen did then, because Joel Osteen does the same thing.
Well, actually, basically all of them are. I mean, you look at, and a couple of the ministers said that during their they were talking about it, like, we're entrepreneurial. The white minister, I can't think of his name, he said, the skateboard guy, he's like, we're entrepreneurial, and it's interesting seeing them because they do almost like a business. One of the reasons they're probably, you can see why they're successful in that they speak to a certain demographic. Mm-hmm. You got a former drug addict, skate guy. You could see how people could flock to that. The charismatic former gangbanger. You understand how that, because it's all based in, a lot of times people say, well, you don't know my pain. Oh, no, I know your pain because I used to be a crackhead, or I used to be whatever. I used to be this, or be that. And so they are very entrepreneurial. So I think it's the mixture of people saying, well, you're taking from the poor and you're not giving back. But a lot of these churches do give back. So, I think it's probably a case-by-case situation.
I was just thinking that, because I don't think you can put everything in one box like that. I think you have to go case by case. As tedious as that might be, as time-consuming as that might be, that you almost have to do that because every church is run differently.
Yeah, and even in the conflict, some people didn't like the fact there was a conflict at the end where it almost came to blows. And it was interesting. I mean, I think the voice of reason, who was the minister who basically had an affair and had to leave his family's church, his mega church in Detroit, and kind of start all over again as basically an artist. He was speaking what a lot of people think, well, like one of the ministers who was very prim and proper and had a whole entourage of people. He was kind of busting them out saying, we shouldn't be charging people to get blessed, Right. And the guy was like, well, I don't necessarily really charge it, but my entourage has to be taken care of. And so he was kind of firing on him, but it's almost like, yes, you're firing on him, but you're the one who got a baby out of wedlock, who don't have a church really,
right?
Who's broke really, and ain't even married yet.
Right.
So who are you to say what needs to be happening anyway? And
right.
Why is it so volatile? Why is it so, but I tell you what, being around being around in Baltimore, some of the egos. It is. I mean, it's competitive. It's competitive. They are usually out.
Should it be competitive though?
Well, I think anytime you have alpha A males around, and anybody who's worked with a church, I mean, even the board of a church. Oh my goodness, the boards of churches. That's really treacherous. Treacherous.
Mm-hmm.
All those dynamics come into play, and it just makes an interesting volatile mix. So people will. I think the show's going to be very successful.
Do you really?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Well, because it's compelling. It's compelling, and it's interesting, Tony. Like it'd be like DJs. I mean, we are people in entertainment for the most part are usually kind of self-centered, are usually kind of me.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not that way, then you're probably not the norm. But so most people are me. So like little things like one of the ministers, he got cut off when he was a guest. He was at the church and he said, cut it short basically. And he was kind of like, man, I can't, cut me short. Well, it wasn't about you. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's like,
right.
but you have all these guys. It's kind of all about them. It's probably that's probably one of the formulas for reality TV that makes it work.
Oh, okay.
If you put those kind of people together,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get some sparks because
Right.
they're not going to just stand by and let somebody walk over them.
Yeah, I got you. So we get a letter, man. We ask people to send us letters if they got issues they want advice from two fathers of three daughters each. You can send it to advice@twodad6daughters.com. This one is like this. Dear Mark and Tony, my daughter wants to be a singer. She's soon to be 16 years old and wants me to let her audition for American Idol or The Voice. I don't know much about music, but I do know one thing. She cannot sing. I don't want to hurt her confidence or damage her self-esteem, but if she goes out there, she's going to get humiliated, and then I'm going to have to pick up the pieces. I don't want to see her hurt, but she wants this very bad. What should I do?
Let her go.
Let her go?
Yeah.
It's a tough world.
Gotta let her go. Yeah, gotta let her face the music. And if she and it's maybe it'll inspire her to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she can't get better. Maybe she just sucks.
Yeah.
But I think parents and efforts to save their kids, because then what the kids turn around and do is then blame you.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like Whitney Houston, but you wouldn't let me because
You didn't believe in me.
and then like, man, just the other night, Nelly is on. So Nelly is on Arsenio, and Nelly is on the husbands, right?
Housewives, husbands,
Husbands.
yeah, Hollywood husbands. or
So
something.
knowing what we knew and knowing what we know, and we both, are in the music field. We like music. If Nelly was our son, and hey, he was playing in the farm league for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
We probably would have said, what, Tony? Man, you need to go play for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I heard you rap.
Yeah.
You were all right. I heard you sing. You were all right. You're a much better baseball player. But here's Nelly in the game, what, a decade, man?
At least.
At least reinventing himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's funny. Who knew?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got rid of that gold tooth. I think the gold tooth, he never said anything with the gold tooth.
Yeah. he didn't want to open his mouth. Is that what you're saying, man?
I mean, he didn't talk much.
Yeah.
He was like he's like Indian Joe in One of the Cuckoo's Nest. Till he got that tooth taken out. No one asked me.
Nelly was Harpo Marx until the tooth came out, man.
Clarky. So you have to, if someone has passion, hey, these days you don't have to be a good singer. Look at Rihanna. You don't have to be a good singer anymore. It's like it's a look. It's your drive. It's somebody believes in you. So I think you go for it. What do you think?
I kind of think that you're going to have to let someone else tell her she's not good.
Yeah.
And maybe have a conversation with, I'm pulling for you, but if they say no, you need to be gracious about it. Don't make an ass out of yourself, things like that, because that's what you'll be known for. So just be gracious, say thank you for the opportunity, walk away.
Yeah, taking some lessons. Do you know if Ozzie Smith's son continued his singing career after
he's still singing around. He's he does a lot of gigs around town, and I know he does some out of town and stuff like that. Yeah, he's still singing.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he's still singing. Yeah, Nico.
Still trying. I mean, you know, and I think again, you never know. You might have your kid might find some. I think if your kid's driven by anything,
yeah,
if they're passionate about something, I think as a parent you got to help them pursue it, man. Yes, go ahead, go for it. Mm-hmm. Teach them, because it's better to go for something than to be lukewarm on everything. I think.
Yeah.
And not have any passion. You just kind of like, I don't know. There's nothing worse, man. You know, what do you want to do? I don't know. Oof.
And don't ever say I told you so.
No. Yeah. As a parent, come on. Especially something negative. Yeah. I told you so. I told you you'd fail.
I told you couldn't sing.
Yeah.
I tried to tell you couldn't sing. Yeah. Every time you would sing around the house, I turned the TV up. That doesn't mean nothing. That isn't sending a message to you.
Anti-parenting, and we've all had moments when we've been the anti-parent. When you said something where you knew it really wasn't the right thing to do as a parent.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, Olivia, you know, she loves to dance, and she's good at dancing, and she says that's what she wants to do. And I told her, if that's what you want to do, then go and do it. But just understand that you can't dance forever.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do afterwards? That's my concern. You want to dance right now? You're young. Go for it. Go for it. You know? But understand it's not going to last forever, so you need a backup plan. What are you going to do afterwards?
Don't we all? I thought I could do radio forever. Anyway.
Well, you do every Saturday night on WHUR in D.C., man.
You want to call it that, yeah. You said it. You called it that.
Well, let's see. You are on the radio, and you're on XM.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys really sounded good, man.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. You know. Well, that's 30 minutes, man. That about wraps it up for us, man. So, Marc has a free app that you can download. It's available for Windows phones. It's available for the BlackBerry. It's available for Android. And it's available for iOS 7, your iPad or your iPhone. So it's free. It has content on there, stuff that you can learn about Marc and follow him on social media, things like that. Check it out. Again, it's absolutely free. I'll put the link in the show notes down below so you can check that out. So I have, what do I have? I have a radio show.
You have Talkin' 360, www.talkin'. Not talking, talkin360.com.
Yes, I do.
You should check in with that. Tony's trying to build that up to over 1 million. We were close, so that's our goal this week. Yep. Push it over the million view mark.
We're at 1,900 right now.
And we are looking for sponsorships. Talking 360, you're trying to fresh content, including Men on Scandal, which is a huge success. This is week 3 coming up.
Yeah, we actually have done a couple of them along with Troy Johnson, and a lot of positive feedback on that, man. People really enjoyed that, so I'm excited about doing it.
We're going to get rich off that one, I could tell. These two right here, this is what I'm banking on. These
right here, man. This is going to pull
2 dads, 6 daughters, and Men on Scandal.
Well, there you go. Right. All right, well, until next week, man. Take it easy. I know your mom's in town.
Yes, Jackie Johnson, my mother. Her birthday is tomorrow. She'll be 80 years old tomorrow.
Wow.
She's visiting us in Bethesda from Springfield. Went through the hood in Springfield, snatched her up, dodged the gunfire, and made it out.
Yeah.
And so we're going to hang out with Grandma Jay. So we're having a good time with her.
Very good, man. So next week, man.
Next week it is, my brother.